Hello everybody, we are back here on the Hunter Call of the Wild. Well, not on Call of the Wild, but actually on a survey for the Hunter Call of the Wild. But before we actually get into this, if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, be sure to do that. I've been posting 3 to 5 times a week and doing daily live streams, and I would really appreciate if you guys would subscribe. Also, be sure to like the video and leave a comment for YouTube's algorithms. But with all that being said, let's jump straight into this. This is a survey that they recently put out about the duck hunting in Call of the Wild. So we're going to take a look at it together today and kind of go over all of the questions, and I'll kind of give some of my opinions on what I think they should do with this going forward. Because I really do think that the duck hunting currently is not great, and I'd love it to be a lot better. Something mimicking Classic in a way would be obviously my dream duck hunting, so let's see what they've got on this survey. So this first one is kind of just the accept the terms and stuff or whatever, so let's just go ahead and click next on that, and we'll get into the actual questions. So do you have any real-life duck hunting experience? I personally don't. I've done a lot of hunting for deer and elk, but none for ducks, so none on that. How often do you hunt ducks in Call of the Wild? So I don't hunt them a lot just because of the fact that they're currently not how I would envision duck hunting being, but I would say as of now it's kind of just sometimes, because I only shoot ducks if they're a good estimate. Overall, how would you rate the duck hunting experience in Call of the Wild? As of now, it's not that great, so I'll put somewhat unenjoyable. Have you ever hunted ducks in the game The Hunter Classic? Yes, I have. And I think Classic has some of the best duck hunting I've ever seen in a video game, so overall, how would you rate the duck hunting experience in The Hunter Classic? It's really good, honestly. Very enjoyable. Probably my favorite part of Classic, to be honest, besides hunting deer species. You prefer the duck hunting experience in Call of the Wild or Classic? Classic 100%. So these ones are kind of just like the basic questions asking us how we feel about the hunting in both Call of the Wild and Classic. How challenging do you find duck hunting in the Hunter Call of the Wild? It's honestly way too easy right now because of the fact that they just sit on the water. But I guess at the same time you could argue that it's difficult because you can't get a lot of them at one time because they don't actually fly into calls and decoys like they would in the Hunter Classic. They kind of just sit on the lakes. But I'd say for what most people want to do, it's pretty easy. Because most people would just take the 22 out, kill a couple heavyweight ducks, and then call it good there. How would you rate the behavior of ducks in Call of the Wild? Very unrealistic for the most part. Well, somewhat unrealistic. We'll just go with that. Because I don't think it's the worst in the world, but it's not great right now. How would you rate using calls to lure ducks into range in Call of the Wild? Well, right now, I feel like the callers don't really work that well. From what I've seen, they just don't work too well, so we'll just go with indifferent, because I also haven't tested them enough, so I can't really speak too much on how the calls actually work. But I rarely even get the opportunity to use a call on them, so it's really hard to say. How would you rate the decoys to lure ducks into range in Call of the Wild? I've seen the decoys work quite a bit. I actually have a lot of ducks around where I have decoys, so that part does work. But I don't know much more about it. All I know is I see a lot of them around my decoys, so we'll put somewhat clear. Do you feel the movements of the ducks in Call of the Wild accurately represent real-life migration during the hunting season? I don't have a lot of information that I can really go off of for this. I don't really do duck hunting IRL, and I don't watch a lot of duck hunting videos or anything like that, so I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'd say for the most part they move realistically. Do the ducks fly in a trajectory that you expected when attempting to shoot them? I'm not really sure what they mean by that. I guess the direction they fly off in when being shot at, maybe? I mean, in that case, I guess they do. They kind of react how I would expect them to. How important is it that there is a wide variety of waterfowl species in the Hunter Call of the Wild? I personally think that that's very important because it's nice to have good variety, especially when we already have a lot of big game animals, but we don't have a lot of waterfowl or small game, so I'd say it's pretty important. Hopefully we can get some more duck species in the future. How would you rate the current variety of waterfowl species in the Hunter Call of the Wild? As of now, I'd say it's probably pretty average. There's a few species, but not nearly as much as I would expect there to be in like a year or two, so I'd say there's definitely room to improve. There's a decent set of waterfowl in the game as of now, but there could definitely be more. I think as of now it's just 4, if you count the goose. Okay, so here's the interesting question. Is it enjoyable to shoot ducks while they are resting on the water? It really isn't. I don't enjoy sniping ducks off of the water. I really wish that it was, well, like this, flying in the air. So with this one, strongly agree, because I would love to be able to hunt ducks like you would in real life. I feel like that is a lot more fun. It's a lot more what I'm used to as somebody who came from the Hunter Classic originally. So I'm going to strongly agree with that one. Is it acceptable to shoot ducks while they are resting in the water on Call of the Wild? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that it isn't acceptable. I mean, everybody does it. I definitely would say that I don't like it, but we'll just go neutral on this because I'm not 100% sure if they're talking by like an ethics standpoint or if they're just talking about what the community views it as. So I really think it's probably just neutral there. Is it acceptable to shoot ducks while they are flying in the air? Yes, of course it is. Strongly agree on that one. So these are actually the questions where we can fill them out with our own answers. Is there anything you particularly like about duck hunting in the Hunter Call of the Wild? That's actually a difficult one. It's hard to pinpoint one thing. Because for me personally, I don't really like the state that the ducks are currently in. I guess one thing I could say is that I do think the duck models and stuff are great, and their audio is amazing, but I don't like the behavior of them really. Yeah, I think that's probably what we'll go with. The duck models and sounds are very realistic. That's probably my most liked thing about them as of now. Is there anything you particularly dislike about the duck hunting in Call of the Wild? Yes, there definitely is. The fact that they have need zones. I think that's the biggest issue with the ducks right now. If they didn't have need zones and they kind of acted like the geese do, or how ducks do in the Hunter Classic, they would be so much more fun to hunt, and I think a lot of people would actually favor duck hunting over a lot of other hunting in the game if this was actually a thing, so I guess that's going to be our answer. Alright, so there we go. It's too easy as of now, removing need zones and making them more like the Hunter Classics ducks would be a huge upgrade to them. Oh, I guess I should actually change that to them. Alright, so we'll go with that. And then for the last one, is there anything you would like to see added or improved in terms of duck hunting in the Hunter Call of the Wild? So what I would love to see added or improved is more species, obviously, removal of need zones, and a swamp map similar to Rougarou Bayou. I guess I should put in the last part. There we go. So yeah, I think that's really all that I've got for these answers here. And I think that's actually the end of it, so we'll go ahead and finish that up. Alright. So yeah, that was the survey for duck hunting in Call of the Wild. So now that we've gone through that, let's actually jump into a little bit of duck hunting in Call of the Wild and then a little bit in Classic, and we'll kind of compare the two and get you guys a good idea of what it's like in both of them for those of you that have never played Classic, or for some of you that may not have hunted the ducks in Call of the Wild. So it sounds like we already got some ducks right next to us. I'm not exactly sure if they were here when we spawned in, but there is some ducks. So typically this is how you see most people hunting them. Which obviously is not super realistic. But as of now, this is the most effective way to actually hunt the ducks. Because a lot of times, they're very difficult to get when they're actually in their need zones with a shotgun. Most of the time you have to use the 22. Which, as you can see, is not my specialty, so we're just gonna stop shooting at that one before I miss too much. And if the ducks aren't being shot out of the air with the 22, then they're most likely just getting sniped off of the water like this. Which obviously isn't exactly realistic either. But right now, it's by far the easiest way to get ducks, so that's what most people end up doing. And that is 3 mallards down. We'll wait for those to come in, but this is one of the biggest things that I don't like about the duck hunting in Call of the Wild. Everybody resorts to the 22, including myself, just because it's way easier to actually get them down than it is to get them to come into range of a shotgun. Because most of the time when you find ducks, they're going to be on the lake, and you usually have to sneak up close to them in order to use a shotgun, which makes it very hard to actually ever get close enough. So most people just use the 22, and I'd love to actually be able to hunt ducks the way they were supposed to be hunted. And I feel like initially the devs probably didn't intend for ducks to be hunted this way. I mean, of course they didn't, because when the game first came out there was no 22, so it is unfortunate that this is currently the way that you hunt ducks to be most efficient, but I'm really hoping that with the release of this survey they're actually going to make some changes to make the ducks better, because it would be much more enjoyable if they were very similar to classics, and we'll take a look at classic in a minute here. But for now, let's wait for these ducks to come in and we'll take a look at them. So there's all 3 of our little ducks right there. It looks like they're all common fur type mallards. Actually, that one might be a brown hybrid. Let's go ahead and take a look. It is a brown hybrid, 17.40. I actually don't see these brown hybrid nearly as much as I used to. They used to be considered an uncommon, but I'm starting to think that they're more of a rare now, or kind of in between a rare and an uncommon, because I really don't see them that often. But there it is, little brown hybrid mallard. 1.75 kgs and 17.40 on the score. Couple points above gold. Not a bad kill, but 171 meters with the 22. And we'll pick up the other 2. They're going to be very similar in distance and stuff like that. This one is a really small mallard, actually. I don't think I've ever killed a bronze male, so that's kind of cool. And then this last one is a 16.80 gold scoring mallard. But as you guys saw, we didn't really have to do too much work to get these. It was just sniping them off of the water with the 22, and that's how most duck encounters go in Call of the Wild currently. It's either this or you're trying to snipe them out of the sky as they fly away, as you guys saw at the beginning there. But that's not really how duck hunting is in real life. In fact, it's far from it. And we're going to jump into the Hunter Classic now and take a look at what duck hunting is like in that game and what I feel it should be like in Call of the Wild. So because of the fact that dogs are also something that is rumored and suspected to be coming to the game, with a lot of the recent hints and stuff that have been discovered, I decided we would buy a new dog and kind of go train it a little bit. So let's name this guy, how about Buck? Just keep it simple. Simple but good name. And we'll kind of get a look at what the dogs are like in the Hunter Classic and what they could potentially be like in Call of the Wild if it is true that they're going to get added. And it's really looking like there's a very high possibility of it happening. So, and with the recent duck survey and stuff like that that we're looking over today, it makes it even more likely that that's going to be a thing. So let's jump into the blind and wait for some ducks to come. Let's actually get our dog over here first. Call him over. So in the Hunter Classic, there is a lot more waiting involved in the duck hunting. A lot of times you'll be sitting here for 5, 10, even 15 or 20 minutes sometimes, depending on how lucky you get with flocks passing by. So we're going to be chilling here for a little bit, and once we get a flock coming over, I'll get back to you guys, and we'll kind of show off how the dog works with retrieving and stuff like that. This is a brand new dog, so it's going to be lower level and won't be able to understand commands quite as easy as a high-level dog would, but kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of what it is with a low-level dog, just in case they implement it similarly into Call of the Wild. Alright, so it sounds like we finally got some ducks coming in. Does sound like there's some northern pintails in there, so we're going to switch colors halfway through, just so we can have the highest chance of getting everything to break from here. Because the thing about Classic is there's 4 different duck species on this map right here, which is Rougarou Bayou, and we actually did get a few to break. So let's go ahead and try to call those in closer. And I just realized I didn't reload my shotgun. Well, let's try to get them. Let's probably try to call them in a little bit closer, though, since they are going to be circling around again. There, this should be good. That is 2 ducks down. I don't think any others broke, so let's have our dog retrieve these 2, even though they're pretty close. So you just open up the wheel, with the V key and then hit fetch, and they should go gather it. And just like that, dog has recovered the bird and is bringing it back. So gives you an idea of how this could work in Call of the Wild, and I'm hoping that they will work like this. It'll be pretty cool. Just like that, we have our American black duck. This one right here is only a female, but we got one more down, so let's get that one too. And our dog has also just leveled up to stamina level 2 and hit level 2 on his overall level, so that's going to make it so that he'll be better at commands and stuff like that. Or at least, I believe that's how it works, if I remember correctly. I know for a fact it leveled up his stamina, so he'll be able to do more without getting fatigued. Because if I remember correctly, the dogs do have a fatigue level. What just happened there? Where did our duck go? Well then, that's not supposed to happen. That typically wouldn't happen. I don't know what just went on. Well, I guess we're gonna have him go get it again. A lot of times, if your dog is a lower level, there's gonna be a lot of times where you'll do a command and they don't really understand what you're saying. Just like that, we got a question mark, and I think that's because the duck flew too far away, so I guess we'll have to move around a little bit and try to find the duck, and then we'll get back to this. So because this flock right here is primarily pintails as far as I can tell, we're going to be using the pintail long-range collar, and that should get them to break a little bit better than the mallard one would. So we'll see what we can do. These ones are looking to be a little stubborn, unfortunately, so I don't think they're going to break, but you do have multiple collars to use for different species. And this flock over here sounds more like mallards or black ducks, so we're going to change to the mallard collar. But unfortunately, it looks like neither of these flocks broke, and that is going to happen quite a bit in Classic, so if they do change the ducks to be like this in Call of the Wild, this is something to kind of expect. However, we got a third flock flying over us, which is another thing that does happen from time to time. You'll get a lot of flocks flying over you. Let's go back to this color. There we go. So we ended up moving and we finally got some ducks to break. So let's get all of these in. Actually, there's a ton of them that just broke. Oh my gosh. So this is going to give you guys a good idea of how things really can get. Reloaded too early. That's not good. Don't know if we got anything with that. Unfortunately, we didn't. But we got a few of them down. That could have gone way better, but we'll take what we can get right now. So they both landed right there. Let's have our dog pick them up and we'll see if we can call some more in. So there is the first one right there. This is a mallard female. Scoring 950. And we'll just jump out and grab the other two. We actually got 3 in one shot, so that's pretty nice, actually. Let's quickly grab these, and then we'll jump back in our blind. This one is a female mallard once again, and this last one is an actual male. So let's go ahead and grab this little guy. 1.1 kgs, scoring 1135. So it's a small one, but still a couple more ducks down. It's been a bit since I got the last flock, so it's nice to actually have some break. Ooh, we actually got these to break also, so that's nice. That one right there is looking like one we'll target. I believe that's a pintail, so actually they're all pintails. Probably would have helped if I had it reloaded, which I didn't. So, yeah, we're getting a lot of stuff right now, but we're still getting a few down. Not my cleanest kills, but I'll take what I can get right now. So let's grab this pintail real quickly. This one is a male, 1 kg, 996 on the score. Let's go back to the blind because we got another flock coming in. This time I'm fully reloaded on all my guns, so we don't have to worry about that. For once, I actually remembered to do something. There we go. We got them to break last second, which I actually didn't really expect. They were already past the decoys and everything. but occasionally you can get them to break last second, which is always nice. Let's see if we can take these out as they swoop in. That went much better. And for the last one, pull out the 20 gauge and drop that out of the sky. So that's 4 more down, which means we got 5 to retrieve. We'll have the dog go pick up one of them while we go and grab the others. This is typically how I like to do it. If I'm gonna be kind of in between flocks, I'll go and pick some up myself and let the dog go pick up another to kind of save time. But right here we have a female northern pintail. That one's a pretty small one for the most part. And let's have our dog go grab one. I think we actually picked up the one that it was supposed to be grabbing, so it ended up not actually getting anything. There is another male northern pintail. This is another small one, 681. And there's Buck bringing us our pintail. This is a common female, scoring actually more than that male did, so that's interesting. Let's go grab the last couple ones that we have down. I think both of them are right here. So they're pretty much side by side. In fact, there might even be 3. Well, either way, let's pick them up. 1,065 on that common male. And the last one, once it allows us to pick it up, is a 1 kg female. Scoring 1,039, so not too bad. We got quite a few pintail down in that couple flocks. And we got another flying in, so let's get back in the blind. Alright, well, these guys right here don't seem to want to break, so I think we're just going to go ahead and call it there, but this gives you guys a good look at the duck hunting in Call of the Wild and the duck hunting in the Hunter Classic to give you guys kind of a comparison of typically what people would be doing when hunting them. And unfortunately, Call of the Wild just doesn't really compare to Classics as of now. It's possible to play Call of the Wild and have them, I guess, behave similarly to Classic, but you have to do quite a bit of work just to get them to actually cooperate like real ducks should, so it's not exactly ideal, and I really hope they do something about it soon. And with this duck survey coming out, I've got very high hopes that duck hunting is going to get a lot better in the coming months in the Hunter Call of the Wild. So we can hope for the best, and hopefully they'll make some awesome changes with the ducks soon. I really look forward to seeing what's going to be happening with ducks in the near future. So thank you guys for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, consider subscribing. I post 3 to 5 times a week and do daily live streams. Also, be sure to like and comment on the video if you haven't already. It's a massive help in getting these videos pushed up in YouTube's algorithms, and it also lets me know if you guys enjoy the video. So be sure to do that if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace!